Welcome, Tenno, to the Hot Dog Juice Show. My name is Sunrend, your gracious host, and today we're going to be talking about the illustrious, the destructive, and disruptive mag build, which I have been using for my endgame purposes for many years now, pretty much from 3 hours and up. So, yeah, strap yourselves in and get to know some endgame builds. So the build is here. At the very top of the screen, as you can see that there is a energy siphon and a power drift. The most particularly the one you want to worry about is power drift for it. Other than that, you decide on the aura. So first thing off, counterpulse is one of the augments. It's shield polarized. Once it hits enemies with this augment, it stuns them for an extra 4 seconds. They literally just don't do anything. Fracturing Crush is also one that stuns enemies, plus also takes away 50% of the armor. So it's a duality build, so this works really well in just disrupting enemies, and that way you can destroy them, as well as your teammates. Alright, so in the rest of the build, as you can see, is Transient Fortitude, Fleeting Expertise, Intensify, Stretch, Prime Continuity, and then also a Streamline. So this is the build. Now let's get to the loadout, because that's really important. The first weapon we have here is the Dragoon. Maradetron is also really important to have. They're both very destructive weapons, and the Zenistar is your melee. Now, for suggestions, if you don't have a Zenistar, that's fine. There's some suggestions for that, for not being able to use that, is the Kestrel. The reason why I suggest the Kestrel is because of this build I'm showing you off does need some energy support, and the Kestrel can support you with that with a augment mod and triply flight on the weapon. Also, it's a very fast little weapon to use if you mod it out correctly, and can kind of always knock around any enemy no matter how big and powerful they are. It's mostly, apart from bosses. As you can see here, we have the Redeemer and Redeemer Prime you can also use. Those are also very good weapons for such a glass cannon type of Warframe. But for the most part, it's going to be the Zenistar for your choice. So, now there's a certain way to use Mag. Basically, it's all about her Magnetize. So, with that in mind, we're going to start off with using Magnetize first. Then, you're going to follow up with using Shield Polarize because it strips armor and or shields from the enemy. And then on top of that, your third thing to do is use your fourth ability. Because of the Fracturing Crush augment, it destroys half of their armor as well as CCing them. And lastly, you're going to want to use Pull just to add a little extra collateral damage when the magnetized bubble finally implodes. Alright, so basically from here on out I'm going to talk to you about pro tips of Mag. First off, the magnetized bubble. Being how that's your main source of damage throughout. The whole reason why I put together the Dragoon and the Maradetron is because they have projectiles, like they actually have a lot of them, and so when you toss them or shoot them into the bubble, it keeps recycling that damage output and just keeps pulling them back in and hitting the enemies constantly for a lot of times. Dragoon has just a lot of bullets it sprays out. They're all slow bullets, but they are so much more effective than regular hit scan or basically non-flight projectile weapons. Basically like the Soma, the AK Vastos, pretty much anything that are instantaneous bullet hole sponge type of weapons, basically. Anything that doesn't have a slow projectile speed, it doesn't really work very well for Magnetize. At all, in fact. Next tip is basically the Magnetized bubble itself. Do not ever try to stand in the middle of your Magnetized bubble, especially when enemies are firing into it, because the enemy fire is going to hurt you because it's basically engineered in the game to hurt you. So basically, it's not a good idea to stand in your magnetized bubbles for cover. You can stand outside of it and use it as another shield or something like that. That's one great little tactic to keep yourself alive is mag. Also, with mag, you really need to start using... If you really want to use mag, you really need to start using your parkour skills. Because having a redirection or fatality, it's not going to help mag in the slightest. Mag's a glass cannon, meaning she breaks easy, but she hits like a freaking truck. So, with that in mind, you really got to make sure that you understand that you got to be agile, you got to be quick, and you got to just get your motions down of how to do it fast, quick, and effective, and keep yourself safe without using defensive mods. Next point is basically the shield polarize is most important to understand. Shield polarize itself, it has a trouble sometimes, especially with heavy armored units, when they get hit by the shield polarize. It sometimes doesn't look like it takes off the shield or the armor of the enemy for that matter. So sometimes you might have to keep recasting it one or two times. However, with that, you got to make sure that the whole duration of the shield polarize has to be used up before you recast it again. Because if you recast it again, it cancels that bubble that's expanding outward from when you first cast it and starts back up again from where you casted it your second time. And the last point I just want to reiterate is the two augment mods, Fracturing Crush and the other one, the Shield Disrupt augment, are really good augments for basically keeping the enemies just standing there doing nothing, and thus giving you such an easier time with mag to destroy everything inside, or at least allowing your teammates to do so as well. So with that in mind, this is mag, the Destruct and Destroy build. Let me know what you guys think, and this has again been my build since forever, and I absolutely love it. Yeah, so we'll talk to you on a later date, Tenno.